Okay, continuing here. So we have gone over the query manager function, entering the value that you're looking for, and then clicking OK. And let's go ahead and do this slide. Okay, so then you click OK. And this is the screen that will appear. Again, you can probably see this closer on your own computer. If what you entered is the only condition that you want in your query, then you're fine. In this case, if you're only looking for the client's last name and you think it is client is the value or the name of the person, then click OK. But this is the cool part about the query manager or the query builder here. You can actually add more conditions to the search if you want to. So if you want to add the city of residence, date of birth, etc., click Add over here and then repeat the last step again to add a new algebraic formula that you want it to search for. And then keep doing that until you're ready. And then once you have all your conditions, then you can click OK. So first of all, your query has been saved, and then it'll show you where it is. And you can click OK to close that screen. And then it'll ask you, which record would you like to go to? In this example, we're going to choose first. So it's basically like if they're giving you a list, do you want the first one on the list or last one on the list? Previous, next, and stay here. There's, you can play with it and see where you want to start, but you can start with first. And the results will show all the records that contain your query conditions, starting in this case with the first one, because you chose first. And then your name will be saved as the query choice. So whenever you click on your query link, the results of your last query will list themselves in the contact or matter screen, depending on which one you're looking for. But for future or new queries or completely different queries, go to Query Manager again, like you did, click your name, delete the conditions you previously made for the other search, and then create new ones. So you can always go in and make a new query if you're looking for something. And then notice that there are some queries that have general topics in the query ID list. For example, active clients only, shows all records except clients, all this stuff. Those are for ICWIC's administrative and statistical purposes and should not be deleted. So people who are doing stats lists for different queries, don't delete those. So the only one that you should be messing with is the one that is your own name for your own queries. Okay, so the final slide on this, the first time you need to do a contained search, go ahead and add your name as a query ID under the manager function, and it'll always be there for future queries, like we said. If you accidentally delete your query ID, you can always re-add it again, following the steps here. And remember, you can also use quick query as long as you know the first letters of what you're dealing with. You don't have to go into the really complicated one if you know the first part of what you're looking for. But if you only know a client's second last name, that's when you will want to use the more complicated query manager instead of just the quick query. So the takeaway for this is, for the quick query, it's a starts with query. And a query manager is a more in-depth query that can include a contain search or any other search that you create algebraically with the query build function or any other condition that you want. Okay, so totally switching gears again, now we're going to be talking about forms on Abacus. And this is really important because you're going to be doing all of your client forms for their immigration applications here in Abacus. And so the first thing that you'll probably do is filling in a form in Abacus, whether it's the G28 or the certification form for law enforcement to certify. So to fill in a form for Abacus for your client, the first thing you need to do is open the matter that you're working with so that it is going to populate the form with your client's information. So have the matter screen open and then click on this forms icon in the screen, in the top section of the screen. And then it'll give you this list. This list gives you a list of all the forms, and then it has a little preview on the right side of what the form looks like. And then this, I've opened the immigration folder. Sometimes it won't give you this full list. It might just give you like the folder names, but if you click on immigration, which is under federal, then it'll give you all these. You can use the search box up here to find the form you want. If you want to just click in the code, you can just write G28 or whatever code you're looking for and click enter or double click the form you're looking for. And whenever you're filling in a form, it is important to save it under your client name to avoid losing your data. And another general thing is that you can make your own favorites list to make form finding easier. So when I log into my forms, it has like the 20 forms that I use the most often. So that can be convenient too, so that you don't have to look through this really long list every time you come in. So here I did a search for 918, which is the U-Visa form. So I did a search for 918, and then it popped up with all these different results. So to go into your form, you opened it, you can click File, Save, and then it'll give you this pop-up. And you can fill in whatever information here you want, but I found the most convenient stuff to fill in is the type of form, which is a code. So you can either type it in or look in the search bar. The author, if you want, this is so whoever goes in there knows who created the form, your initials, and then a little note. And the note is helpful because, especially if you have derivatives, each person in the case is going to have several forms, and then if there's 3 derivatives, that's times 3. So you're going to have, when you go back into your Docs tab, you're going to have a really long list of forms. And so if you have this little note that just has the form and the name of the person, then it'll be a lot easier to find it just for your own personal use of it. So then once you fill in this little box, click OK, and it will be saved. And then if you did save your form correctly, you should be able to go to the Docs tab of your Matter screen, and you'll see a list of all your documents here. So here we just made this little 918 form, and you should be able to find it. And the other thing about Abacus is that you can have multiple forms open for editing at one time. However, if it's possible for you to avoid that, it will kind of slow down the more stuff you have open on Abacus at the same time, the more it'll slow down the speed of your Abacus. So if you're done with one form, you can close it to open your next form. But it is possible to have more than one open at the same time. Forms on Abacus, you can also save your form as a PDF version in the server, which is convenient because sometimes you'll need to email the form. And in the future, Abacus does have the capability of emailing straight from Abacus, but for now, this is easier. We haven't had that other part set up yet. So when you're under the Docs tab, like we were on the previous slide, you can make sure whatever form you want to look at is highlighted. So if there's like 10 here, put the cursor on the one that you want to save as a PDF, and then right-click it. So right-click the form, and I'll show you the next slide what it'll look like once you do that. So once you right-click, it's going to give you this little option box, and what you want to choose is Open Folder, the folder that contains that file location. And it says here, no, do not choose Copy Documents. What we are essentially doing is copying it as a PDF, but it's not, you don't have it open as a PDF yet, so don't click Copy Documents because it won't copy it in the right format. So the first thing you want to click is Open Folder, and then it'll open the folder and show you the document as a PDF, and then you can copy it. So this is easy because there's only one document here, but if you have 10 documents saved in your Matter screen, they will all appear here, but the one that you had highlighted when you originally right-clicked will be highlighted here. So it's important to notice that, which one it is, because they have the long file names, might not be immediately recognizable to you. So just keep it on the one that's highlighted, and then click Copy. And then you can go into the client's file in the shared server, right-click and choose Paste, and then it should appear. And if you want to open it to make sure it's the right document, you can. And then you can also rename it, because it'll copy with this long number code. So you can change the name of the document if you want, and then you can email it from there. So this is just an example for San Francisco, but this is for all offices of ICWIC. The San Francisco office a while ago created a lot of templates for use of forms on Abacus because we realized we were retyping the same information on every single form, like our address and attorney email and stuff like that. So you can use the templates, and I think there are for Los Angeles and San Diego as well. There are template forms for the majority of forms, or they are being created, or you can create them based on this PowerPoint. So just some examples of the ones that we have are G28 for each attorney and case type, the I-98 Supplement B forms for various law enforcement agencies in the Bay Area or in the area you're working in, and all the different forms that you may use for a U-Visa case, which are here, and then the forms for VAWA adjustment case, and etc. So basically any form you can make a template from it. And the perk of using a template is that you won't need to rewrite ICWIC's contact information several times. And most template forms are saved as just for the SF office, but this may be different for your office. SF form and then the code number of the form. So if you search for the form number in the first long list that you get, you'll get the general ones, and then the templates will pop up too, because they should have the code name in the template name of the form. And then you just double click on it to open it for your client. And it's the same process. When you're using a template form, it's the same process for filling and saving it. So if you want to create a template form, we're going to go into that now. So to create a template form on Abacus, the first thing you want to do is make sure there's no screens open on your Abacus desktop. So if there's a matter open or a name open, close that. So it's just blank, and then you click on the forms icon. So you'll get the same list thing as before, except right now, it's not pre-filling it with a client's information because there wasn't any client open at that time when you clicked forms. So here, we're going to clone a form I-918 supplement A for a qualifying family member. So the first thing you want to do is find the form that you want to clone. So here it just said under federal, then all, then immigration. Choose which form you want to make into a template, and right-click one time on it. So sometimes it's slow to load the little box, this little box. So you might be tempted to click it more than once, but if you do that, it'll automatically open it under a different setting. So just right-click once, and then you might have to wait for a little bit. Once the little box opens, click Clone Form. And then you'll get this box as a pop-up. So what you want to do is resave this form under a new name. And the only thing you have to change is the form name. The form ID should repopulate itself with a new form ID number. We've recently had a technical difficulty with one staff member here where they said the form ID was saying that it wasn't a new ID, so they had to manually make a new form ID, which I think is okay. There's a couple that I've done that for and it hasn't created a big problem. But if possible, only change the form name. So what I wrote here was SF form I-918 new, I-918A new, and that was just because there was recently an update in the actual form from immigration, so we had to create a new template for this form that we already had saved previously as a template. And then click OK. So again, the only thing you should have to change is the form name, the very first box. And then click OK. Then you have to open it again. So right-click it again, but only once again. Right-click the form that you just saved as a clone. And now you're going to click Design Form. And then you'll get this pop-up. It's basically the form with all of its formulas written into it. So you want to be careful here, because if you change any of these formulas where it says equal sign and then a formula, you're going to cause the form to not auto-populate itself, which is what you don't want. You want it to auto-populate with the client's information. The only thing you want to change is certain fields. So it says, fifth and finally, in each field to which you'd like to add template information, erase everything in that field, including the equal sign. So make the field blank, and then write in what you want it to say. So here's an example with these three arrows. I erased, it said equal sign, whatever here. I just erased it, the whole box, double click on it, erase it, and then I wrote our address here in San Francisco, CO, Immigration Center for Women and Children, and then I also changed the safe daytime phone number to our office number. And then make sure to click save often while you're doing this. And I've found when designing forms, if you try to use the most basic symbols possible, if you start using different symbols, it might not let you save it. So just try, here parentheses and the dashes, it's fine. But sometimes if you try to enter something crazy, it won't let you save it. So try to save often to make sure it's actually taking the information you're putting in there. And then the other really important thing is to leave the other fields alone so that you don't change the auto-populating of the form. And then whenever you're done changing the fields that you want to have as template fields, just go ahead and close out of the design thing. You can click, there's an X button over here for the actual form, you can X out of it. And then you should now be able to open the form that you just created under your client matter and see all the template information filled in. So you can try that if you want to. Just close everything, open the matter that you're working on, go on and open the form like we discussed earlier, and then it should have this address in, but then it should also auto-populate your client's information too. And so if it doesn't do that, then something went wrong. Yeah, but that's how it should work. And I mean, I've never had a problem with it, so it should be fine. And a couple other things with forms. You can also choose Save As from the drop-down menu when you're actually editing a form. So if you say you save a form for your client, it's a 918A for a child. You already filled in the entire form and you saved it, and it's fine. It's saved in your thing. You can open that form or keep it open and click File, Save As, and then change the file location by just adding like a 2 to it or something else. So that, like if you have 3 children and they all have the same exact answers to 7 out of 8 of the pages of the form, you don't have to refill it again and again. So it's kind of like cloning a form for someone with similar answers to it. So make sure to give the form a different name in the first pop-up window that it gives you, so that it doesn't override the original file. So the second pop-up with choices for file type and everything should reappear. So if the second pop-up that asks you for the file type and the note does not reappear, then you just saved it as the same form. So you have to try again, click Save As again, and then do it again so that it can make a different form out of it. And forms as a work in progress, as of now, derivatives and other contact pages do not pre-fill their own forms. It's all based on the matter screen. So you do have to re-enter information if it's a derivative or someone who's not the main principal applicant. Abacus can sometimes freeze when using forms because it takes up a lot of memory in Abacus to do the forms, so make sure you save often, and if possible, don't keep multiple forms open at once if possible. Then another thing about the freezing, something that we just learned actually, is that although in the Abacus server you can play videos, it allows you to, our IT technician says do not play videos in the Abacus server because it takes up a lot of the memory. So if you want to play videos or do something that requires a lot more memory, minimize your Abacus server and use your regular computer server to do that so that it doesn't compromise Abacus for everyone. Back to forms. If you notice specific problems with forms, take note of them so that we can continue improving the function or explain it better. And then thank you for your patience with forms as we continue to learn about them and use them. And then a couple more useful tips for Abacus. I think one of the default settings is to erase where your cursor is, to erase whatever's in front of it as you type, because new Abacus users have often had that problem. So if what you write erases everything in front of it, just press the Insert key on your keyboard, and there's actually, if you go to File Setup, there's several general settings, and you can change that for the default to be not to erase what's in front of your typing. And then when creating a new matter or contact, press Save immediately. We already talked about that, but it's really important so that you can reserve your unique case number that Abacus makes for that form. For the matter or contact, sorry. And it helps because other users may be creating a new matter or contact at the same time as you. And one last little thing here, it says it's best to enter biographic information through the contact page. The matter page, you'll see the blue links, and you can click on those links to edit it, but for some reason it seems to save better if you just enter it straight into the contact page, and then it'll load it through the links to the matter page. So anything that's related to biographic information, go ahead and do it through the blue contact pages instead of the matters. Couple other little tips. Like I said previously, when you're creating a link between a contact and a matter, the description is totally changeable. You can write whatever you want right there. And all you have to do is highlight the link, and there's a button at the bottom that says Edit. So if you click Edit, it'll give you the option of changing the second field, which is the description. So this says, notice in this example, the link type is derivative 1. That needs to stay the same because it's a category. But the description, I changed it to derivative daughter. Or you can maybe write daughter abroad, daughter in US, whatever you want right there. It helps if you have a lot of derivatives, especially if they have similar names to each other, to tell who's who a little bit at first glance. So you can do that if you want to. Troubleshooting on Abacus. If your new matter or contact says already in use when you try to save it, which is what happens if you don't save fast enough when you're entering the name, you have to start over. And sometimes the computer will not let you do that. We've had instances where you have to hit cancel, 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 Control-Alt-Delete, try to exit out of it, and basically reboot the entire computer So it can be a nuisance, which is why it's really important to save as soon as you get your client's name in there, to click save. So yeah, that's basically what it says here. Also, it's possible to accidentally link two things that you don't mean to link to each other, and if that happens, don't worry. All you have to do is highlight the thing you linked and click unlink, and it won't delete either part. All it does is delete the link between them, so they won't appear in each other's screens, but they're both still there, so all you have to do is click unlink on that matter or contact. And again, we went over this once with actual screenshots, but to prevent your own events and notifications from notifying all users of Abacus, go to calendar, the drop-down menu under the calendar icon, and click setup, and then where it says who, make sure it only has your own initials and not all. Sometimes it'll give a little pop-up that says file already exists, overwrite, and you can click yes. That doesn't, as far as we know, it doesn't do anything. So, and then if you can't, another problem that has come up is if you can't find a note that you wrote and saved, chances are you accidentally saved it under contacts instead of matters, which is why it's important to try and enter notes only under the golden matter screen. So all you have to do is open the contacts icon and search for that client and see if the note is there. If it is there, all you have to do is recategorize it under the right matter. So in each note, as we saw, there's two fields that say name and matter, and then the body of the note. And the matter field in this case is going to be blank. So what you want to do is type in or find your client's name so that it'll automatically move that note to whichever matter that you're putting it under. So for the purpose of our offices, the name should be blank so that it's not saving notes under the names. So the name field should be blank, and the matter field should be the one that has your client's name in it. And you can erase it. If it has something in the name field, you can erase it. Sometimes some people's settings, I'm not sure what causes this, but they'll categorize all notes under alphabetically the first name under the contact. So it could be like a police officer or somebody that's not even the client, and it's saving your note under that. So it's if your notes are they're getting redirected somewhere wrong, just open up the notes in your case and make sure that the name field is blank and the matter has the correct name in it. So that's the note, getting your notes lost. Hopefully that'll help find them. And for now, I believe that is everything for Abacus. And as I said, it is a work in progress. Abacus is designed to fit the needs of whatever organization is working with it. So it's possible that there may be changes to how our Abacus is set up. And if there are, we will update you and add the slides to this PowerPoint and then maybe make a new video. But for now, that is all. Good luck with Abacus.